Artie said confidentially. Dogs are all buds. I'll join their pack and we can all play. Kirby again cautioned. Rottweilers can be very aggressive animals. Without proper training, they can be destructive and dangerous. These two have been neglected by their owners. Artie said, You are a worrywart, Kirby. You'll see that all dogs are amigos. Let me show you a picture that my granddaughter, who's 9 years old, colored in on the coloring book. Hopefully you can see that well. And so that's what we just talked about. RD had a ball, he wanted to play, and then these are the two Rottweilers. And don't they look mean? They look vicious. I wouldn't have wanted to play with them, but RD loves to play with other dogs, so RD wanted to play with them. So let's continue the story. And with that, RD trotted down the street to meet his new friends. RD never met a stranger. Everyone was a friend. The two Rottweilers, Brutus and Diesel, spied RD, headed towards them and started laughing. Look at what we got here. A little bagel with a red coat walking bow-legged. Do you believe he's coming this way? They both got up from their lie-down and started toward RD. Oh, look, RD grinned. They're coming to greet me. Brutus and Diesel got closer and closer, and they stopped. They looked on in disbelief. RD was grinning at them. Do you believe the audacity of this guy? He thinks he can come into our neighborhood. We'll rub that grin right off his face. As RD got closer and closer, Brutus and Diesel showed their teeth and started growling. Red Dog looked up at them. They were both so big, but Red Dog wasn't afraid. How's it going, fellas? Beautiful day for a romp. We can be best buds. Come on, boys, let's play. Did you just call us boys? Brutus and Diesel asked. So you want to play, do you? We know a game called Thump the Beagle. That doesn't sound like a good game. I want to play, RD said. And he was trying to back up when he said this. He thought to himself, maybe this wasn't such a good idea after all. You fellas, you two lovely guys, have a really swell day. I'll just take my leave. Ta-ta! And with that, RD turned and ran as fast as his short, bow-legged legs could move. All of a sudden, Brutus and Diesel jumped on Red Dog. They started biting and hurting him. It was an awful sight. They went medieval on poor RD. It would be comforting to say that Red Dog fought the good fight, but it just wasn't true. Brutus and Diesel were just too big and strong. RD tried his best to escape, but they held him down with their massive paws. Finally, RD stopped moving, and the two dogs stopped biting. Brutus and Diesel took off running. There was blood in the street where RD lay. It was horrible. It was horrible. So now we're going to go and read what happens next. And by the way, this is a picture of Kirby, and Kirby is that fictional mole I told you about, and he always wore a teacup on top of his head because, as you probably know, moles stay underground most of the time, so he needs a teacup to protect him as he tunnels around in the yards. And this mole has special abilities to understand doggies like RD and to talk and speak to other animals. So that's what's special about this mole. And his name is Kirby. So, after all this happened with Diesel and Brutus, Kirby said, "Oh no," as he watched from the yard. "RD, RD," Kirby called. "Are you all right?" Red Dog couldn't answer. He just lay there, whimpering and whining in terrible pain. RD was badly hurt. Kirby didn't know what to do. He saw a graybeard, and graybeards are old men, kind of like me, on the other side of the street who were working in his garden. Kirby climbed as fast as he could out of his tunnel, knowing that it wasn't safe to be on top of the ground. But he had to do something to save his good friend, Red Dog. He waddled back to the graybeard and started running between the man's legs and then back to the street. Graybeard looked down at Kirby and said, "Well, that's the craziest thing I've ever seen. What are you trying to tell me, little guy?" Graybeard followed Kirby to where RD lay. He gasped when he saw RD. "Oh my, this dog has been mauled by a pack of dogs. I bet you it was the two Rottweilers that have been loitering about. I had a bad feeling about those two hooligans." Graybeard went next door to find an animal rescue lady who worked for the county shelter. "Animal rescue lady, come quick," Graybeard called out. "There's a dog needing your help." The woman ran to RD's side and realized immediately that he was in bad shape. "I've got to find a box and get this dog to the hospital right away," she said. She went inside her house and came back with a large cardboard box and blanket. She and Graybeard lifted RD very carefully into the box. Red Dog wanted to tell the man and lady how grateful he was for their help, but all he could do with them was look at them with his sad brown eyes. Red Dog was lucky to be alive. The animal rescue lady and Graybeard placed RD's box in her car and they sped away to the veterinary hospital. Kirby looked on, not sure if he'd ever see his best friend again. At the clinic, the veterinarian named Animal Doctor came out and looked at Red Dog. He turned to the animal rescue lady and said, "Ma'am, I don't think there's anything I can do for him." "You've got to try," she pleaded. "You just have to try." Animal Doctor said, "Okay, bring him in and we'll go ahead and stitch up his wounds and try to fix him up the best I can." Before the surgery, the animal rescue lady photographed RD and sent the photo to her friends to post online on the human internet. The animal rescue lady hoped to find a foster home where the little red dog could recuperate. She sat in the waiting room while the doctor labored on RD for 3 hours. He put tubes in him, along with gobs of stitches. He cleaned up all the blood and gave RD pain medication so he wouldn't hurt so bad. But RD learned that sometimes there just isn't enough medicine to make the pain go away. It just hurt that much. Afterward, Animal Doctor said to Animal Rescue Lady, "We can't keep him here. I don't have the room." So that's when we got a call. And let me show you a picture of Red Dog that my granddaughter, who again I mentioned was 9, she drew of Red Dog in his blanket. And that's underneath that is all the tubes and everything that were in Red Dog and all the stitches. So Red Dog was in really bad shape. So then the animal rescue lady then called a couple in northern Kentucky to ask if they'd be willing to give Red Dog a temporary home where he could recover. That's caretaker Mama and Papa, who lived about 60 miles away. And that's myself and Miss Ree. And the place where the veterinary hospital was about 60 miles. Caretaker Mama answered the phone. She said, "We can certainly foster him. Can he travel in our car?" "He's in bad shape. I'll send you a picture so you can decide," said the animal rescue lady. She forwarded the photo of RD she had taken before his surgery and sent it through the internet, not to be confused with the mole net, which is what Kirby the Mole uses to communicate. Caretaker Mama saw from the photo where the Rottweilers had mauled him. Before the surgery, RD had a beautiful red fur coat. Now he looked nothing like the pre-surgery photo. Caretaker Mama saw the old photo of RG's injuries and felt sorry for little Red Dog. From the old photo, his injuries didn't look so bad that he couldn't travel. She asked her husband, Caretaker Papa, if they might bring the little Red Dog home to live with their family while he recovered from his wounds. Well, Caretaker Papa was a bit cautious about driving Red Dog back to their home, so he said, "Well, let me see the picture of this little guy." He looked at the picture and said, "He looks so pitiful. Well, I guess we can pick him up there and bring him back home for some loving care." So the caretaker couple already had 2 rescue dogs, and the husband didn't really want to adopt a 3rd dog. But Caretaker Papa said, "Well, as long as it's just temporary, then that's fine. We can go get him." So Mama and Papa packed up the car with doggy blankets and headed south on the Kentucky highway. When they arrived, the animal doctor showed him little Red Dog's box. They looked in the box and both of them struggled not to cry. The pictures hadn't looked too bad, so they were shocked when they saw him. They had no idea that little Red Dog was in such bad shape. He had no fur on his back or flanks. His back was covered with gobs and gobs of stitches and small plastic tubes that looked like rubber straws. Red Dog looked like an alien sea creature, and he really did. "So sad," said Mama affectionately. Artie looked up at Mama and Papa with his sorrowful eyes. He had all but given up. He thought, "I prayed for someone like the brown-haired girl in the chair and wheels to rescue me. I just met my new mama, but I love her." Oh, and Red Dog did love Miss Ree. That was his new mama. Then his thinker started to think. He started to feel ever so better, Maybe the girl in the chair with wheels heard my prayer and asked an angel to send both of you. Maybe, just maybe, I have a chance, he thought. Now, the girl in chairs was another temporary home that Red Dog used to visit, and she was in a wheelchair. So she would always pet and give Red Dog food and water and give him treats. So Red Dog loved the girl that was in a wheelchair. Papa decided it was best to keep Red Dog in the box for the ride home. Wisely, they picked up the box together and placed R.D. in their car. On the long journey back to the house, they kept a watchful eye on Red Dog. Mama petted R.D.'s head very gently while Papa drove, keeping his eyes on the road. Once they arrived home, they picked the box up and carried Red Dog to the room downstairs to rest and recuperate. The other two dogs were wondering, "What's going on?" Their names were Buddy and Peanut. And hold on, I've got a picture of Buddy and Peanut in here. Let me find it. Let me find the picture of Buddy and Peanut. This is the car. You can see the car where we took him in. And this is the box. And a picture of Red Dog when we brought him home. And this is the picture I wanted to show you of Buddy and Peanut. Shh. Red Dog's pretty excited right now. I'm going to do another selection of the coloring book, and then I will go ahead and let you go ahead and read the rest on your own, and others will also be reading selections today. So the next section is Red Dog Survives and Prospers. Buddy and Peanut were surprised that Red Dog survived the night. "He's a keeper," said little Peanut in a yappy voice. Of course, Buddy repeated, "He's a keeper," but in his big dog's woof woof voice. Buddy was skeptical of having R.D. stay with them. He was a wee bit jealous of the special attention that R.D. was getting. The small chug named Peanut really wanted a new playmate, even though R.D. was about twice his size. He was excited the Red Dog was now in the house, but so sad that he just lay there limp and lifeless. For 2 days, Red Dog rested as his new people fetched medicine, nibbles, and water for him. He tried hard to swallow a little bit of his nibbles each day. By and by, with the medicine doing its work and with much tender loving care from his people and four-legged foster brothers, R.D. got a little bit stronger. After about a week, he began walking around very slowly. He explored inside and ventured outside as he whiffed, sniffed, and questioned, "What's the diff?" getting acquainted with the new smells. Buddy, the big 85-pound hound, protected R.D. and made sure nothing happened to him. Little Peanut tried to play, but he knew he had to be careful of the straws and string stitches sticking out of R.D. After a fortnight, the new people brought R.D. to the animal doctor to have his tubes removed. The animal doctor examined R.D. and pronounced that he was lucky to be alive. When they returned from the doctor's office, there was a message for caretaker Mama and Papa. An 11-year-old boy and his mother asked to come over and meet R.D. The purpose was to determine if R.D. was a good fit for their home and if they were suitable candidates to be his permanent people. They came over, but R.D. still had string stitches on his hairless back and flank. R.D. was feeling much better and rested while the little boy stroked him very gently. R.D. looked up at the boy with his big brown eyes and thought, "I just met you, but I already love you. I'd like to adopt you as my new boy." Yet the little boy looked sad and far away as he sat with Red Dog. When they left, the little boy sat in the car while his thinker was thinking. He told his mom, "I love little Red Dog, but I can't adopt Red Dog, Mommy, because I'm afraid he's not going to make it." You see, the little boy had lost his first furry friend many years ago and didn't want to feel those sad feelings again. "Sometimes the past can poison the present," Kirby said. "Yesterday is antiquity, and today belongs to you and me. Tomorrow is waiting eagerly." The little boy's mother spoke to Mama and shared why they could not adopt little Red Dog. Mama understood and continued to keep her eyes peeled for a forever home for them. Caretaker Mama and Papa took good care of R.D., and he got stronger and stronger. R.D.'s health continued to improve over the next few months, to where he was running and jumping in his new yard. He was frisky and enjoyed playing with Peanut and Buddy, and also another rescue named Sheba, which Mama called Little Chicken. Artie noticed as he romped that the backyard was covered in molehills. He stumbled on them occasionally, hoping that someday soon Kirby might tunnel to his new home and pay him a visit. If you remember, Kirby was that special mole that always helped Red Dog. But for now, he loved his tummy rubs, resting on Mama's lap, munching on biscuit nibbles, getting nice pets from Papa, and sitting on a comfy couch watching a silly talking box his people called a television. Even the next door neighbor children came over to say hello. Artie was a friend to anyone he met. Artie's fur coat was starting to grow back and was very popular among the neighborhood children. They had never seen a red dog with bowed legs that walked like he just got off a horse. They rang the doorbell and asked in Spanish, if Perro Rojo could come out to play. As time passed, Artie practiced walking on a leash with Papa. Papa thought he was training RD, but really, Red Dog was cleverly schooling Papa. Dogs find it a great deal easier if they train people than if people train them. Once RD was certain he had trained Papa well enough, he and Buddy let Papa for a walk around the neighborhood. They explored the area, stopping to water the mailboxes and say howdy to all the squirrels. So that's this piece of the coloring book. And let me also show you another picture my granddaughter drew. I'll show you a picture of Sheba. And Sheba is a black miniature pinscher. And she's only about 14 pounds, so that's another one of our rescue dogs. And that's another dog that Red Dog plays with. And there's a picture of Red Dog. And Red Dog loved his new life. What he didn't like was when Mama and Papa said it's bedtime. Artie knew that that meant playtime was over. So that's a nice picture of Red Dog and Papa. So I hope you enjoyed this piece, and we'll be back shortly with some other selections. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Susie Bookster, and along with Pam Mullins, I am the co-chair of Community and Restorative Justice Covington. We're delighted to be with you this holiday, and as an organization, what we're working to do is to help people learn to resolve conflicts, to celebrate together, and to live peacefully and happily with each other in the Covington community. So I have been asked today to do a reading from Little Red Dog and the Ghost of the Hen House. I know this may be your first reading from this book, so I just want to let you know that Willie, who is a human, and Little Red Dog have moved to Rabbit Hash, Kentucky, and they have met a little high school girl, Maya, and her Grammy. So this is part of the adventures that come about as they move through that. So I am reading a chapter that's called The Weeks Before Christmas. And what you can see is we have a picture of an ice house or an igloo. Remember, Willie and Maya and Grammy are all humans. After Willie left, R.D. introduced Ginger to Mr. Tickles, the alpaca family, and the 3 Sicilian donkeys. The night of the blizzard, Willie had stored Miss Lucy, that's Willie's truck. Willie had stored Miss Lucy in the old garage down by the road. He was glad he'd taken that precaution, as the snowdrifts were several feet high by the back porch where he normally parked. For the first time in a week, Willie decided it was time to start Miss Lucy. He crossed his fingers and held his breath as he turned the key. Miss Lucy coughed, sputtered, and came to life. Willie went back inside to let the truck warm up. Willie asked Maya, "Could you keep R.D. today? I need to go into work and I don't want him getting into trouble." Maya looked down at R.D. "Of course," she said. "My school is still closed and will be for some time. The 3 dogs can play together." Maya added, "Now that the electricity is back, Grammy and I plan to wash the rest of the horse blankets. With this bad weather, we haven't had much business. We rely on the money from washing and mending blankets and selling clothes made from the alpaca fur for our livelihood. I'm afraid there won't be much under our Christmas tree this year." R.D. looked up at Willie and Maya, trying to decide if he should tell them about the ice house and the secret door to the cave. He decided to wait. Instead, he said to Willie, "Maybe the ghost of the hen house can help." "Maybe," replied Willie. "Well, I'm off to work. Don't stray too far, R.D. You're in charge of Ginger, the donkeys, the Gobbler family, and the cows." R.D. decided to spend the day constructing an igloo in one of the snowdrifts. He led the doggies off the back porch to a perfect drift. Charlie and R.D. dug an opening with their paws while Ginger watched. Once inside, they pushed the snow out of the entrance for Ginger to pack down. Pretty soon they had a cool igloo, but it was too dark inside. They decided it needed windows. Because Ginger was still small, she was able, with Charlie's help, to climb to the top and push her wet nose through the snow until she could see inside. Looking up, R.D. exclaimed, "Perfect, Ginger! You're good at making snow windows." The rest of the day was filled with chasing snow rabbits, belly flopping down snow-covered hills, jumping from the roof of the ice house into snowdrifts, and napping in their igloo. Willie returned that night to find R.D. sleeping in the new igloo. One evening, 9 days before Christmas Eve, Maya suggested they decorate their cedar tree to celebrate Las Posadas, a tradition in Mexico for over 400 years. Posadas is a celebration of the Christmas story that takes place 9 nights before Christmas. It commemorates Mary and Joseph's journey to find a birthplace for Jesus. Willie and Maya carried the tree from the dairy barn into the living room. Grammy served champorado, Mexican hot chocolate, and popcorn. They decorated the tree with popcorn strands, colored paper cutouts, ornaments, and chili pepper Christmas lights. Willie was asked to place the angel on the top of the tree. According to tradition, a small nacimiento, nativity, was placed under the tree. They stood back as Maya turned off the room lights and flicked on the Christmas tree lights. R.D. turned to Willie. "What a lovely sight." Willie agreed, but he wasn't looking at the tree. He was looking at Maya and Grammy clasping hands, framed by the twinkling lights of the Christmas tree. Maya felt Willie gazing at her and said, "We might not have much for Christmas, but we have each other." Over the next 9 days, Grammy and Maya stayed busy making alpaca hats, scarves, and mittens to sell in Rabbit Hash. They also made special bakery treats to sell at the store for Buena Noche, the Christmas Eve celebration, including buñuelos, which is fried dough fritters, and rosca de reyes, which is sweetbread. Each morning, as Willie made his way to the university, he stopped by the store to deliver the baked goods and handmade pieces and collect the sale money. The slippery roads still kept many out-of-towners away, but the locals appreciated the fresh baked treats. Willie arrived home early Christmas Eve. The university was closed for its holiday break, and Willie was relieved not to make the long drive into the city for 2 weeks. With Maya's help, he was becoming quite the farmer. He was also enjoying his time as a country boy. Our next chapter is Christmas Eve. It was a tradition for Maya and Grammy to invite Mama and Papa to join them for Misa de Gallo, midnight mass, at their small local church, and for dinner after the service. They were delighted when Mama and Papa arrived that afternoon. Willie and R.D. were waiting on Maya's front porch to greet them. "Hello, Willie. How are you getting along?" said Mama, giving him a hug. Willie smiled. "We're doing well," he replied. Mama dug into her pocket and produced doggy biscuits for R.D. and Charlie. "How are you big dogs getting along with little Ginger?" With their mouths full, R.D. barked, "Ruff! Ruff! Great!" And Charlie shouted, "Ooga!" Mama looked around. "Where is Ginger? I'd like to meet her. I have a special treat for her." Upon hearing the commotion, Ginger raced around the corner of the house and leapt into Mama's arms, knocking her special treat to the ground. She was so excited to see Mama, she peed. Mama picked up the treat and offered it again. Ginger was too busy slipping Mama's nose to notice. "Yap, yap, yap! I love you! Yap, yap, yap!" Mama laughed. "I love you too, but not enough to have your tongue in my nose." R.D. looked at Ginger and rolled his eyes. "Crikey," he said. "Do you have to act like a goober every time you meet a new human?" Papa intervened and gently nudged Ginger away from Mama. Willie took Papa's hand. "How are the roads?" Willie asked. "The main roads are fine, but the side roads are still snow-covered," Papa answered. "Cars can handle the side roads just fine if they go slow, but I doubt school buses could make it up and down the country roads safely. I'm guessing the schools will be closed for some time, at least until the weather warms up enough to melt the remaining snow." Willie chuckled. "Maya will be glad to hear that. She and Grammy have been busy baking treats to sell in town." Then he looked at Papa. "I suspect they're struggling financially." Papa replied, "No doubt. The weather's keeping people home, limiting the usual Christmas shopping. We stopped by Rabbit Hash store on the way and spoke with the shopkeeper. She said the locals are only buying the essentials and some small toys for the kids, so many businesses are cutting employee hours due to the cold. Folks can't spend what they can't earn." Mama was more optimistic. "Maya and Grammy have overcome many of life's obstacles. They're where they need to be. I remember Maya's parents saying, 'We're never given more than we can handle.' I'm confident everything will work out. It usually does, right, R.D.? R.D. agreed. "Woof, woof, right." Hearing her aunt and uncle, Maya stepped onto the front porch. "Feliz Navidad!" she exclaimed, hugging and kissing her visitors. "Everyone, please join Grammy inside before we all freeze to death out here." They followed Maya through the front door. Grammy greeted her guests with hugs and kisses. "Feliz Navidad. Mucho gusto verlos. It's nice to see you all." Papa placed a fruit basket, a box of chocolates, and some small chew toys for the doggies under the tree. The year Maya's parents passed, everyone had agreed not to exchange presents, but to donate the money they would have spent to one of the area animal shelters. Mama admired the tree. "Your tree is lovely, very Christmassy. I love the smell of fresh cedar." Papa added, "The wooden nativity scene is beautiful." "Gracias," Maya replied. Maya had prepared a hearty pot of hot ponche navideño, a traditional Mexican fruit punch. Grammy passed out the steaming mugs as Willie poured. Lifting her mug, Maya made a toast. "Te deseo mucha alegría y felicidad en estas fiestas." I wish you much joy and happiness.
Hello, I'm Pamela Mullins, co-coordinator with Community and Restorative Justice Covington, along with Susie Bookster. Thank you today for joining us to watch our special program, Sharing Our Gifts. We hope that you're enjoying the program so far. Now I'm going to do my special reading. and it's about the alpacas. It's a chapter from Little Red Dog and the Ghost of the Hen House. The alpacas. R.D. walked over to Mr. Tickles again. "Hi, Mr. Tickles. What have you been up to?" he asked. "I've been keeping an eye out to see if those pesky raccoons are still in your garden," fussed Mr. Tickles, as he raised his head. R.D. remembered that horses raise their head when they need to look far away. "I don't see them," Mr. Tickles said, "but you better be vigilant. They'll steal all your corn and your other vegetables." R.D. replied, "Keep a sharp horse eye out while I go to introduce myself to the alpacas." Mr. Tickles pointed his head toward the other pasture. "They're in the next pasture. Be careful. Spitball, the male alpaca, is about to become a new dad, and he's a nervous Nellie. Buttercup, the female, is much friendlier. She saw you earlier and was hoping you might stop by and introduce yourself. Any day she's expecting her crier. That's what baby alpacas are called." R.D. trotted over to the field where the two alpacas were grazing. He stepped up to Spitball to introduce himself. Spitball looked down at R.D. and declared, "You have 10 seconds to explain who you are and why you're in our pasture, or I'll spit on you. I'll spit on you. I'll spit on you." R.D. had learned that alpacas could really spit, so he kept a safe distance. "My name is Little Red Dog, but you can call me R.D. for short," he said. "I'm a friend of Miss Maya and Mr. Tickles." "Oh," said Spitball, "caught you off guard. Why didn't you say that in the first place? Step forward and be recognized." R.D. did as commanded. Buttercup, the female alpaca, who was fluffy like a cotton ball and very pregnant, had a soft spot for dogs. She was already snuggling Maya's dog, Charlie. R.D. immediately determined they were going to be the best of friends. But R.D. wasn't so sure about Spitball. Spitball kept a close lookout for any danger where R.D. and Buttercup visited. "Congratulations," R.D. said to Buttercup. "I hear you are expecting a crier. Have you picked out a name yet?" Buttercup replied, "Spitball wants to name our crier Peepers if it's a boy, and I want to name it Fluffy if it's a girl. But we both agree, as long as the crier is healthy, that's what matters." "Yes, indeed," agreed R.D. "The most important thing," he repeated. "Congratulations again, and I'll stop by to check on you later." "Thanks awfully," Buttercup replied. "This is our first, you know. I've had some discomfort, and I'm a bit cobbly wobbles. On the other hand, Spitball is clueless. He's as lost as last year's Easter egg." Buttercup rolled her eyes while looking at Spitball. "Please feel free to stop by any time," she said with a smile. Maya spied R.D. in the pasture with the alpacas and hollered, "I'm over here, R.D." R.D. wandered over to her blanket shed and went inside. He saw big, powerful machines twirling away and horse blankets stacked almost to the ceiling. "R.D., have you had a fun day so far?" Maya asked as she folded horse blankets. "I saw you spending some time with the alpacas. Buttercup is about to have a crier, so we have to keep a close watch on her. She should have had it by now." Maya bit her lip, concerned. "Alpacas are wonderful animals. They can be enormously friendly. They need to have other alpacas around or they get lonely, just like people." R.D. nodded. He understood what it was like to be lonely sometimes. Maya looked at R.D. "We sell the soft alpaca fleece to local clothing makers for extra money to support our farm. The alpacas are good guard animals. They protect the cow herd, Miss Tickles, and Charlie, my dog." R.D. barked, "Arf, arf," to indicate his approval. Maya turned toward R.D. after the last blanket was folded. "Well, R.D., I hate to end our visit, but we're burning daylight. I have to get some hay cut before." Maya looked down at R.D. and added, "My mother used to say, you can't finish unless you start." Maya touched the locket her parents had given her so long ago. "Extrana a mis padres. I wish I had my Padre y Madre to ask for help. R.D. admired Maya. Behind her sweet smile was a determined young lady who had overcome many hardships. She accomplished so much while surmounting her physical challenges. R.D. sensed Maya had a special appreciation and further understanding of animals and people. R.D. thought Miss Maya and Willie would make a fine pair. Before returning home, R.D. wanted to confirm what Maya had told him about the alpacas protecting the farm animals. So he revisited Mr. Tickles and asked, "Could Spitball and Buttercup protect me from a coyote?" "Oh, most certainly," Mr. Tickles confirmed. "They're good at protecting all of us from the coyotes." "That's good to hear. I'll try and remember that in case I encounter Mr. Coyote." R.D. began repeating over and over, "If you hear a howl, run like a jungle fowl. If you see an alpaca, I will have your bacca." This concludes our readings. We hope you have enjoyed our program today, sharing our special gifts as we have shared our readings with you. Have a happy holiday and stay safe. Thank you to everyone who helped in some way to bring this special project and this special program